we'll look at the basic management system for distance learning, as well as the benefits of new technologies that you might want to consider to provide your students with the best possible learning experience. With the COVID-19 pandemic going on, a lot of organizations and educational institutions have turned to distance learning. In these challenging times, it's the safest and most effective way for people to continue education, and it's crucial to have the right tools in place so employees and training managers and students and teachers are always connected and have the necessary learning material at hand. The topic of our webinar is integrating new tools and features to e-learning. E-learning applications have been capturing the minds of parents and students communities for some time now. It was only natural after the shift from the traditional classroom education to smart classes in the past decade. There are already many applications like Moodle Mobile, LinkedIn Learning, Skillpio, and others that offer quality content and learning models for students. LMS, how are you going to share course material with your learners? Emails and chats are probably not the best way to do this. A learning management system is what will save the day, and LMS makes it easy to manage and distribute educational content and automates the most tedious work such as grading, processing, statistics, and preparing reports. Moodle is a free and open source LMS that is most widely used by institutions of higher education. It allows you to create online courses by combining various kinds of learning materials, manage virtual classrooms and track grades, course completions, learner activity and competencies. Learning experience platform is a true content delivery system that uses artificial intelligence to make necessary content easy to find and recommends personalized content to learners. And we can expect that over time, the lines between an LMS and Lxp will blur. Learning is not only about gathering facts, but it's also a much deeper and individual phenomenon. E-learning applications need to reinvent itself to foster the overall development of students. And here we can notice some differences between LMS and Lxp. E-learning experts also predict some changes in LMS functionality. No, there won't be any radical transformation, and LMS to which we are accustomed won't turn into a completely different tool, but it will continue to expand with new features. In fact, this trend may seem old hat because some learning platforms such as iSpring Learn LMS already feature web conferencing tools. E-learning applications can bring education to every home, even in the remotest part of the world. Different tools integrated into the application can contribute to the all-around development of the students. It will make learning more exciting and productive. And the next question is about statistics to show the power of e-learning by B2B Group, this company located in Great Britain. And the next question is about using Internet of Things in education. Internet of Things is a network of physical objects in each of which primary converters, microcontrollers with appropriate software and executing mechanisms are built in with the possibility of wireless communication with a global network, which allows you to manage this object via the Internet using, for example, smartphones. The Internet of Things will certainly find many direct and indirect applications in the educational system and will cause many quantitative and qualitative changes in it. The concept of a smart home can develop and grow into a concept of a smart university, and the concept of a smart city can become a concept of a smart campus. This optimized energy and operating costs, increased security. And the fact that every object on the Internet of Things essentially represents an automatic control system controlled over a global network, in a sense, opens up a whole horizon of possibilities for creating virtual laboratories with real equipment for training and various engineering disciplines. This is an example. And the next example, cyber school with IoT. Using interactive boards, intelligent heating and cooling system used, using tablets and e-books, creating student identification cards with sensors, network-based door locks used, and buses connected to the Internet of Things. Augmented reality technologies are already actively used in those industries where human capabilities are insufficient. For example, Google Glasses are applied in factories and provide employees with instant access to important instructions on how to use a specific tool or how to repair the machine while on the job. Virtual reality is an unreal world created by a computer system with great computing power and high-quality audio-video equipment. It's an environment that does not physically exist, which is why it's also called non-physical reality. The projection of images is most often carried out using stereo glasses, the price of which is constantly falling. Additional information in terms of sensations can be transmitted by sound, which be a part of the simulation. User can usually control the behavior of the virtual environment using the computer keyboard, specially designed devices for this. Obviously, the use of virtual reality can make traditional lectures and practical exercises much more informative and attractive for digital generation students. It's not difficult to imagine such a virtual walk through the excavations of the ancient city in the world-famous art gallery or along the reserves with exotic animals. The real and the unreal are intertwined in order to achieve the maximum educational effect. We consider VR to be an ideal training method for dangerous or high-stakes situations. For example, training firemen, soldiers, pilots. It also proved to be a great technology for training doctors. It's already been established that VR simulations help to lower risk in life-threatening situations, medical procedures, while AR and VR are certainly the future of self-paced learning. Some experts believe that these technologies are still too expensive for widespread use. So let's open our imagination and twist our fantasy. The classrooms of the future will act like a magnet on students with the interior equipment and facilities offered. The execution of individual routine teaching tasks will be entrusted to humanoid robots with artificial intelligence. The educational process will be based on a research approach in order to achieve the main goal of education, to teach young people how to work independently at the same time throughout their lives, as well as reasonably present their ideas and concepts. A student will be at the center of educational system. And he will be trained according to an individual flexible plan. Of course, in this classroom of the future, the teacher will retain a leading role thanks to both his knowledge and the ability to teach using new technologies. In fact, as we can see in the photo, this is not a utopia, but a real opportunity for which we need to prepare. Thank you, and if you have any questions, you can ask.
Hello, hi from hello from me from Middlesex University. I'm George Dafoulas, and it's unfortunate that I arrived slightly late. I don't know what time you started the session. I was under the impression that it was 9 o'clock UK, so I do apologize where I missed the start. I would really like to say a few things about the webinar, but let's start with the discussion and questions and answers. First, I can see colleagues from various of our partners, Maja from Tunisia, Maja for Bosnia and Herzegovina. It is very interesting that e-learning, this is the third webinar we have on e-learning. It is very interesting that e-learning takes place across the world. Could you tell us what are the main challenges you have in Kazakhstan to implement e-learning, and whether these challenges would be common to other countries?
Thank you for your question. And in our related to our university, we use LMS Moodle, and as you can see the Moodle as very useful. It have useful tools for students and teachers, and also we have active boards and VR glasses that we actually use in our ICT lessons. And I think in the future we also become to use augmented tools, augmented reality technologies with maybe robots, I think. But in our lessons also my colleagues use Zoom platform, Microsoft Teams, and other comfortable and very useful tools.
And what were my main focus is what were the main difficulties? What are the main challenges, the main problems that we will have to consider if we apply these tools to the other partner countries?
I see. I think most of tools for e-learning or educational systems appropriate to the engineering specialties is they are so expensive at this time, but we have some free programs, I mean tools, programs that we can use, but in a very short time, because they are so, as I can say, expensive.
Can I add something, George? Hello.
Please, yeah.
Maybe the other question is that here in Kazakhstan, we don't have the good internet in some areas, like in the regions and in the villages. So for some of the students, it's very difficult, especially in last year and this year during the pandemic situation. It is very difficult for them to stay in connection. So this is one of the problems, the main problems. The other problems, they seem very small because we can deal with them, but we can deal with the problems of the country, like if I can say like that. So I guess this is one of the problems for our country.
Indeed, I think that this is the main challenge we have for quite a few of our partners, because if we are not able to run e-learning solutions, then the students will not shift into e-learning, and therefore we will not have the impact we want for the climate change reversal of fortune, if you like. Okay. For a moment, I would like to pause and ask if anybody else has some questions. I can see that Maha put something in the chat. Please use the chat if you don't want to use your audio. Have you experienced remote practical work such in physics or chemistry? It is a very interesting question, and thanks you very much, Maha. Maha is coming from Tunisia, the University of Sousse. So did you have any experience of e-learning in different departments? That could be for our speaker, of course, Dr. Laizat, or Alexander, if you wanted to open it up, maybe you can translate as well for some of the speakers, for some of the attendees, if they're from your institution, they would prefer it in Russian. So if you want, you can translate it. The emphasis is e-learning works for some disciplines better than others. Perhaps we need to take under consideration how we apply them in areas like physics, chemistry. One of the challenges we have at the moment is teaching dance. So this is also something that can be difficult, and how we can use it so we can achieve remote learning. Thank you.
Lazat, can you answer this question? Or
do you mean about virtual laboratories or interdisciplinary field, maybe?
So do you know any information about physics or chemistry in our university?
I know that we have laboratories, modern laboratories, And also our teachers use virtual laboratories and e-books.
Okay, so yes. So the virtual laboratories is the key factor of like training in physics and chemistry. So now we have also the project in our university that is called STEM. And actually in this project, our professors, our teachers, they had some like 6 months training for school teachers. So how to teach children, school children, with the physics, maths, chemistry, with the help of virtual laboratories. So, and virtual robots and something like that. So the key factor is to use virtual laboratories. And during the pandemic situation, the previous year and this year, our teachers at the university used virtual laboratories. So this is the only way to do this.
We have the next question that could be monitored by students thanks to IoT technology. According to IoT technology in our university, we use plastic cards that can monitor absence or ways our student at the library or at the lesson. So, also we have IoT laboratory in STEM project. Yes, Alexandra?
Yes, right.
New laboratory IoT.
Okay, that's
But it's also not a huge laboratory. It's a part of IoT, and we will use it in our lessons.
Okay, that's good to know, and possibly a very interesting resource to keep in mind in the future, especially if we join common proposals. Before concluding the webinar, I'd really like to just do the introduction. We do it reversely. Ideally, that introduction would happen at first, but at least it happens today. First of all, it was really reassuring to have 20 participants in our webinar. So I'm pretty sure Alexandra will put together the list of participants. It's unfortunate. For some people, we don't have the name. So I have a Galaxy A10 and a DM. So you guys, if you would like in the chat to type the names.
It's from
you know, okay. So Alexandra is on.
Yes.
Okay, Alexandra is on charge of. Okay, good, brilliant. She's very organized. Okay. Please keep in mind that on Thursday, the 22nd, we have a webinar from Middlesex University. So hopefully we'll see you there as well. A very interesting talk on climate change, which is the theme of Project ARC, which is emphasis on assuming responsibility and accountability for climate change. So our project focuses on 5 themes: how e-learning, remote work, the way we consume energy, the way we recycle, the way we use our waste, the way we live our lives changes and reverses climate change. So emphasis of our consortium is to find out what happens in the different countries. We are 13 countries, and find out what everybody's doing and how what you do in your institutions can help to make a difference. And hopefully in Kazakhstan, what we will have is like a competition starting in September, where we will have students, staff, and small businesses competing by providing something small in terms of what they do for the environment. So this is the scope of these webinars. Hopefully when the students come back in September, they resume the studies, they will have more than 30 webinars to choose from and find out what happens around the world. At the same time, they will have the 5 courses, the mini courses from Middlesex University that we will deliver on a weekly basis in October. And we will be having the competition where everybody will say, this is something that I can start doing to help the world become a better place and hopefully reverse climate change. Perhaps some of the students will choose to use the Moodle pages that Dr. Lysat mentioned rather than printing every single page of notes. That will save on paper. Maybe students will realize that they can download some of the nodes so they do not have to use internet connection all the time, therefore saving on the infrastructure of Kazakhstan. So these are the things that we're looking for. We're trying one step at a time to make our students understand, young people understand that they can do something for the environment. So thank you so very much for the webinar. I will have to attend most of it of course, in the video recording. So I will just, when Alexandra gives us the video recording, we will upload on YouTube and of course, have a go as well. And if we don't have any more questions, it would be the end of the webinar, the beginning of a really challenging week ahead. We have our Middlesex webinar and moving through the summer. So I hope everybody enjoys themselves. You get some well-deserved rest before we start again in September with our classes. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you very much, George. Thank you, colleagues, and other participants for being here today. And so it was a great webinar. I will send you now the video recording, and we will see you also on the next webinar. We try to disseminate the webinars of other universities, and our professors and teachers, they participate in every webinar. So thank you very much for this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you. Goodbye. Thank you very much,
Bye.
colleagues.
Bye-bye. Thank you.